All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today. We're going to be looking at the Quran, but through a very different lens, a scientific one. So let's just kick things off with a huge question. What if a book written over 1,400 years ago contained descriptions of the natural world that we've only been able to verify with modern technology? I mean, think about it. It's a pretty wild idea that really makes you stop and think. This is where we start putting the pieces of this ancient scientific puzzle together. Now, our goal here isn't to prove anything, okay? We're simply exploring some of these really interesting parallels between a 7th century text and 21st century science. And just to be super clear right from the start, the Quran presents itself as a book of spiritual guidance, right? It's not a science textbook, so we're not trying to cram science into it. We're just looking at places where, kind of surprisingly, science and scripture seem to describe the same thing. Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's go big. I'm talking cosmic scale. We're going to start with the very beginning of the universe itself. So check out the wording here. It talks about the heavens and the earth being this single, joined entity that then got separated. Just hang on to that idea for a second. A single origin point that was then split apart. Okay, now let's pivot to modern science. What does it say? The Big Bang Theory, right? The idea that everything, all matter, all energy, started from this tiny, super hot, dense point, a singularity, and then bam, it expanded outwards. That idea of a joint entity being separated, I mean, the parallel is pretty hard to ignore. But wait, it doesn't even stop there. This next verse says, we are expanding it. And you know what's really interesting here? It uses the present tense. It's not saying we expanded it in the past, but that it's an ongoing process, happening right now. And this timeline, wow, this really puts it all into context, doesn't it? The verse is from the 7th century, but the scientific proof? That came from the astronomer Edwin Hubble in 1929. We're talking a gap of more than 1,300 years. That's just a massive amount of time. All right, let's bring it back home. From the mind-bending scale of the cosmos, let's zoom right into our own planet Earth. Turns out, there's some pretty amazing secrets hidden here too. So get this analogy. The Quran describes mountains as pegs. Now, what does modern geology tell us? Well, mountains aren't just bumps on the surface. They have these incredibly deep roots that dig down into the Earth's crust, stabilizing the tectonic plates, the huge pieces of our planet that are always shifting around. They literally act like pegs holding everything in place. How cool is that? Okay, what about the oceans? This verse talks about two seas meeting, but it says there's a barrier between them that they can't cross. For ages, people probably just thought, well, that's a nice metaphor. But then, oceanography comes along and discovers something called a halocline. It's a real, physical barrier that forms where saltwater and freshwater meet because of their different densities. They don't just mix right away. You can actually see the line sometimes. It's wild. All right, this one is all about the wording. The Quran says iron was sent down. Now, that might sound a little strange at first, but here's the scientific kicker. The iron on Earth wasn't made on Earth. Our planet simply wasn't hot enough. It was forged inside massive ancient stars that then exploded, and pieces of that iron-rich material, meteorites, crashed into Earth. So it literally was sent down from space. And the list keeps going. Real quick, a couple more. The atmosphere, it's called a protected ceiling. I mean, that's a perfect description for something that shields us from deadly radiation and space rocks. And the water cycle? It's described in the exact order we now know it happens. Winds push the clouds, rain falls, and that water seeps into the earth to create springs. It's a perfect match with modern hydrology. So, we've gone from the cosmos to the planet, and now we're going to zoom into the most personal scale of all, the miracle of human life itself. Okay, you really have to listen to the specific words used in this verse. It describes this whole sequence. We start as a drop, then become a clinging form, and after that, a chewed lump. Let's actually break down what those strange-sounding terms could mean. See, the original Arabic is super specific. Nutfa is a tiny drop. Alaqa is something that clings, almost like a leech. And mudgha literally translates to something that looks like it's been chewed. The key thing here is this very clear step-by-step progression. And this is where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Top embryologists today have pointed out how unbelievably similar these descriptions are to what we see with modern microscopes. The early embryo does cling to the wall of the uterus, just like a leech. And a bit later, as the spine starts to form, the little segments give it this bumpy look. It genuinely looks like a piece of gum that's been chewed. So, wow, we've looked at the vastness of space, the secrets of our own planet, and the very beginning of human life.
Which brings us right back to that huge question we started with. Is all of this just a massive coincidence, or is it something else entirely?
So let's just do a quick lightning round recap. We've seen parallels with the Big Bang and the expanding universe. We've talked about mountains being like pegs, barriers between seas, iron coming from space, the stages of an embryo. The thing that's so stunning isn't just one of these things. It's the sheer range of them across so many different scientific fields. You know, this quote really just hits the nail on the head. It says that no matter how you look at it, divine revelation or just an extraordinary coincidence, you can't deny that these parallels to modern science are there. It's not telling you what to think, just that there's something to think about.
And really, that's what this whole explainer is about. We're not here to give you the answer. The goal is just to lay out the information and let you connect the dots between this ancient text and modern science, using your own curiosity.
So, we end right back where we started. After everything we've looked at, from the birth of the cosmos to the beginning of a human life, the question is now yours. Divine revelation or extraordinary coincidence? That's for you to explore.